You see them going down the road almost every day, responding to emergencies and going to fires. What am I talking about? Fire trucks. On today's show, we're going to show you the two new apparatus that were made at Sutphen Corporation in Ohio. We're going to go into how they're made and the inspection process that goes into them before they even go on their first call. Wiley and I went to Ohio, and we're going to show you more about it. Franklin Heat is on. Welcome to Franklin Heat, the show that takes you behind the scenes of the Franklin Fire Department. I'm your host, firefighter Jeff Boggs. My co-host, engineer Wiley Jones, is on assignment. Today's episode is about something that's near and dear to my heart, fire trucks. Now, fire apparatus are broken into two main categories, engines and trucks. They carry firefighters, hoses, water, and tools to fires and other calls. Now, the trucks will have ladders on the top and the engines will not. Franklin recently purchased two new ladder trucks from the Sutphen Corporation in Amlin, Ohio. Ladder 5 replaces a 1997 model at Station 5, and Ladder 8 will be housed at our new Fire Station 8, which is scheduled to open early 2016. As you might imagine, purchasing a fire truck is a little more involved than purchasing any other type of vehicle. It's a year-long process from start to finish. Ever wonder what goes into making one of these? Wiley Jones got an exclusive behind-the-scenes look with Sutphen's general manager. Let's take a look.
Hey everybody, we're at the Sutphen Corporation in Ohio. I'm joined here with Kevin Kuzma. Kevin, good to see you.
Nice to see you.
You're going to give us the grand tour today, huh?
I am. This is the assembly line for the cabs. There are 5 stations here, and we have enough work for each person in each station to be able to fill one whole day. So we move a cab down to the next station each day, and we produce 5 cabs a week. Let's walk down the line. You can see Eric here is starting to fit in some of the seat boxes and frame it out. And then as it goes down the line, more items get applied to it. Some of the skins start to get put on. This is the back wall skin. This is the final bay. And you can see he's starting to get ready to cut out the holes for the windshield, and then after that it'll come over here to its last stage and the doors will get assembled.
So at this point there's still nothing but aluminum, or is there stainless in it?
Nope, it's all aluminum. We want to keep that weight off of the front axle, so our bodies are stainless steel here on our aerials, and then the cabs are all aluminum to keep those light. So here we are in the door department. This is a door frame for a cab, and here's a door skin. We glue the skins on. We've been doing this for about 25 years. These ridges here help the glue adhere the skin to the door
more
frame.
Of a surface area, I guess.
Exactly. We did that because we used to weld those on, but then the weld marks would show through on that Class A surface, and we really didn't want any puttying going on that surface. We just wanted it to be straight aluminum. So we went to gluing, and we never had any trouble since then. So they glue the skin on the frame, they bring them over here, and they install the regulators, all the electric window switches. Sometimes they require a manual window crank. They'll put that in. And they basically assemble the door in just-in-time sequence along with the cabs, so that when they get to the end of the assembly line, they're married together and we don't have a lot of stock building up in between operations.
So it's very, very easy. You can go to any auto parts store and buy a door just like this, right?
Absolutely not. This is highly customized. We've done a lot of work on our latch mechanisms. They're smart latches so that you cannot lock yourself out of the vehicle.
Wow.
And so that way, if you're in the vehicle and it is locked, you can pull the latch and still get out of the vehicle. This is our pump module assembly area. And most of our pumps are either hail or waterless pumps.
The one thing that I've noticed is that you can never get used to the same pump panel. Each pump panel has unique characteristics of its own. Can you tell us a little bit, or tell those that's watching, kind of basically some of the components that you see on a pump panel to make the water move?
Yeah. Let me describe that pump panel process to you. You're correct, each pump panel is different. It's actually like a work of art, and these guys fit everything in so that it's, evenly spaced and you can reach and get to each control easily. And then they go in, the guys building the pumps themselves will go in, sit down on the computer and draw this out in AutoCAD, and then we send it out to our laser manufacturer. He lasers out these pump panels, we bring them back in and finish the assembly. So each one is unique and different just for that pump.
Okay, Kevin, so tell us what we're looking at here.
This is our body subassembly area. Our bodies for our aerials here are all stainless steel. They're all bolted together.
No welding.
No welding on these. We have other models that the pumpers that have aluminum bodies that are welded, but these are our stainless steel aerial bodies, and they're all bolted together. And the theory behind that is that should this be out in the field and this particular section here get damaged in an accident or something, we have the drawing in SolidWorks. We can pull up that drawing, remake this section right here, unbolt that section, and bolt in a new section. What we want here is the stainless body, because that takes a lot of the abuse. They're
Absolutely.
throwing the tools in and out of there, and they're in a hurry, and so they don't need to not be thinking about, am I going to put a ding in the body? They need to be thinking about saving lives and putting out fires. So we make our bodies really rigid for them to be able to, take the hardcore usage that they get out in the field.
Kevin, I noticed things, okay? And in this shop, I noticed that board over there. Do you think you could explain to viewers at home what that board represents?
Yeah, we have goal hours for each and every department that we have. So we sit down with our guys, we discuss what our goals should be. We fine-tune those goals for each and every truck that we build, and then the guys set out to exceed those goals. So that way we keep track of our hours and we keep productive. And so when we meet those goals, then we sit down and we have a celebration and a cookout at the end of each and every truck. If we've met our goals for that entire truck, we'll sit down and, have a hamburger. So it's just something that improves morale and really keeps our production levels up.
Is the celebration today?
Not today.
Okay. And in the graphics department, here we are with, it looks like all the lettering and then all the stickers. Can you tell us what's going on in this area?
Yeah, we do all our own graphics right here on site. Our head graphics guy, Mark Nisley, will work with the fire department. Some departments know exactly what they want, so they'll send over files. Other departments are really looking for us to give them some different options on what to do with graphics. So Mark will come up with some different options based on his years of experience with that, and they'll settle on a design and he'll print them out right here. We do all the chevroning with the Reflexite and the 3M material. So, all those have to meet the NFPA requirements for reflectivity and the strict color patterns that they have for that. But the graphics on the truck are in fact made with real gold.
So Kevin, the trucks are really taking shape now.
This is our final assembly building. In here we have 4 bays. Each bay has 3 people in it, 3 employees that build the truck. 1 employee is an electrician. We have a bodybuilder that works on the body, and then we have a plumber that takes care of all the plumbing needs. And what we like is having 1 guy do everything on that truck so that if there are any issues with it, that guy knows that truck inside and out, and he usually can go right to the problem and resolve it. We also, have a telephone right over here that if, we got a service guy that's out on the road or a customer that needs to know something, they can actually call in and talk right to the guy that built the truck. So that really helps with that personal touch. We're big enough to handle all of our customers' needs and small enough to be able to have that kind of personal connection with our customers. So.
Right. I was noticing yellow. What is the factory color of this here?
This is for green New York. We call it yellow. There are so many different colors out there of fire trucks. They're unlimited. I think at one time they said we have 600 and some shades of red. So there's such a variety of colors. But what you're seeing here is standardly our chassis and underframes would be black, all black as the standard. But as an option, you can order your frame and all the undercarriage in truck color. So this particular customer wanted their frame truck color, so we painted it the same color as the truck.
I'm noticing the chassis and the frame sits pretty low. Is that something unique to Sutphen, or is that where the industry is going?
Well, we try to keep everything as low as possible to keep the center of gravity low and to keep all the tools and compartments accessible. So I believe we have one of the lowest centers of gravity of any truck out there, and that's one of the big mainstays of our truck, is that low center of gravity. Huck bolt is really important. We use it on the bodies and on the ladders. The main power of the huck bolt is it's a mechanical fastener that just will not come loose. It doesn't need torqued or checked every year. When it's applied, the collar is swedged on with thousands of pounds of pressure, and it's put on until this pin actually breaks. So if that pin didn't break off, then you know that it wasn't applied correctly. So there's no way that it cannot be applied correctly, because this pin will still remain there. So that snaps off. That means the correct number of pounds of pressure was applied to this to swedge it on to its proper pressure.
So Kevin, a pretty easy explanation of what this room is. I see nothing but ladders everywhere. I'm noticing that there's some different types. Is that true, and how many?
Yeah, we have two main style ladders. One is our climbing style ladder. This is a 3-sided ladder, very wide, high sides, very comfortable for climbing in and out, bringing victims out of a burning building down the ladder. It is intended to be a stick ladder and not really have a bucket at the end. Then this particular ladder is our box style ladder. It's got the waterway inside the box, very protected, and typically this would have a platform at the end of the ladder. We basically have the 3 fixtures here that we build the sections on, and then we assemble those sections over here, put in the waterway, put in all the cables. Once we get that fully assembled, we'll bring it over to this area and we'll stretch it out, and we'll start running all the electric up the ladder.
And this is when it gets the gadgets, I guess.
Right, all the lights, all the communications. If it has tip controls at the top, it'll get the lights mounted, it'll get the nozzle mounted, and then this ladder's ready to set. It's going to go on a truck tomorrow morning. So this is a platform. Of course, it's on its side, but this is they're just starting to put the floor, and they're going to put some of the skins on it and the electric to put all the controls, communication devices up in here. But basically, this is designed to carry 4 guys in it, 1,000 pounds, and it to be ultra light, but yet ultra strong.
Okay, so Kevin, we're in here in the paint area. What are we looking at here? Are these doors?
Yeah, these are slam doors. We make all our slam doors here per truck. And this is our paint booth. It's a downdraft paint booth. Has all the filters in it to keep us environmentally friendly. And basically the booth is large enough we can pull a whole truck in here, or we can pull the doors down in the middle and divide it up into different paint booths to paint 2 different things at the same time.
So you can get a 100-foot area on here?
Oh yeah, yeah.
There's been a lot of questions lately among firefighters and engineers alike about the care for the painted surfaces on the fire truck. Can you help us out here? Straight from the horse's mouth.
Yeah, the paint takes some time to dry, and although it's certainly able to go out and be used, if you're taking care of the truck and going to wash it, I would not use any of the heavy brushes on it for at least 6 months to make sure that paint is good and cured. Usually though, it's cured enough after 7 or 10 days to apply the graphics, because if you apply that too soon, it'll bubble out the graphics. So we wait 10 days, apply the graphics, and then we just ask our customers to use the soap and water and microfiber towels on it and treat it, delicate until that paint's good and cured.
Is hot water okay to use?
Hot water's fine. Yeah, it helps actually get the grime and stuff off. So, yeah.
All right. Tip for you firefighters out there: keep care of your trucks. Yes. Here she is, man. Ladder 8.
Awesome.
Look at how sparkly she is.
Looks beautiful, I'll tell you.
Man, well, I can't wait to get her home and actually drive her around some. But thanks for having us down, Kevin.
No problem.
You've been an excellent host, a really good tour guide. To the Sutphen family, the people that work here, just been really good hosts. Thank you.
Yeah, well, we just thank you, and our job is to just build you the safest, highest quality apparatus that we can do so that you guys can get out there and do your job and save lives. So thank you for your service.
Thanks, Wiley. That was infotaining. Now next, I go through the inspection process with Deputy Chief Todd Horton before these trucks even go into service. Stay tuned for that. It's coming up next.
Good morning, Franklin. It's another beautiful day in the neighborhood. Local news is coming up next. We'll check the weather and the traffic. You have a great day out there.
Good evening, Franklin, Tennessee.
Welcome back to Franklin Heat. Now earlier in the show, we showed you how Sutphen built our fire trucks. But before they're ready to roll, there's an extensive inspection process they must go through. The inspection is done by a representative from the department that's purchasing them. Deputy Chief Todd Horton is in charge of purchasing and inspecting each of our fire trucks. While at Sutphen, Todd gave me a good idea of what goes on during a fire truck inspection. Let's check it out.
Jeff, how are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good.
This process is a lengthy process for us from start to finish. Our department begins by creating a set of specifications of exactly how this truck is to be built. And a lot of those ideas come from previous trucks that we built and input from the personnel in the field to tell us the things that they like and don't like or changes that can be made. Right. So coming to the plant here is an opportunity for us to conduct a final inspection just to ensure that the truck is built exactly the way we expected it to be built when we did the bid process. So we're going to talk a little bit about that process today.
Okay. Now these are custom fire apparatus, which means that they're completely custom from the ground up, right? Tell us a little bit more about that.
That's correct. Every component is built. They start with 2 frame rails, and then they put every piece together individually until they get a completed fire truck. And of course, that's done by the set of specifications that we create on the front end of exactly how we want the truck to be built to serve our needs to the best ability that they can.
This is something that I'm very glad that we have. Tell me a little bit more about this.
So this particular addition is glove holders. As you know, we respond to many medical calls throughout the city, and storage of gloves has always been an issue. But a firefighter who is seated in the seat, immediately when he gets up to get out of the truck, he can reach up, grab a set of medical gloves, exit the vehicle, and he's ready to grab his medical equipment and go to work.
That's good stuff. Awesome. Now these SCBA holders, they seem pretty normal. This is where the SCBA rides, but what's different about these than the other ones?
Previous versions of SCBA holders we have always had a strap that you would have to pull to release the air pack so that the firefighter could exit the vehicle. Yeah. What we found is a lot of times that strap was getting hung up, and it was causing personnel to have to wrestle with basically getting out of the fire truck. These particular brackets are inertia type brackets. So when the truck's in motion, they clamp down and will not let the SCBA bottle come out of the holster. But when the truck stops and the inertia stops, the firefighter can simply ease out of the bracket with his air pack on his back and go to work.
Very nice. And that's the deal with custom fire apparatus. You can make use of void space that may have been underutilized in the past. And this compartment for me is one of those cases.
This compartment was the result of some recommendations by one of our captains on the department, who is now an assistant chief. And he wanted to be able to add a compartment to the back of the cab to allow us to easily access our spine board, our Stokes basket, and some of the more common tools like axes and hooligan tools and pike poles that we use on every particular call. So this is a transverse compartment that allows this shelf, as you're pulling out, to come out either side of the truck about 75% of the depth of the compartment, allowing easy access to those items that we use on a daily basis.
That's cool. So at the rear of the vehicle, here we are, ladder 5. I think I know what this is.
I'm sure you do. It's actually the first time we've ever put them on our apparatus. That is a backup camera. And as you know, many of the cars being built today come standard with backup cameras in them. So why not have one on the fire truck? This is an extremely long piece of apparatus, and sometimes the driver has to be in the vehicle by himself to reposition the vehicle. So having a backup camera allows him to do that without necessarily having to have a ground guide out to direct his efforts. But in addition to that, we were able to incorporate another backup camera that we use on the end of the nozzle that's on our ladder truck.
Yeah.
So when we extend our ladder up 75 feet in the air, we can use that camera to get an overall situational awareness of what's going on the incident scene. And also it allows us to be able to direct the nozzle from the ground without having to have a firefighter on the end of the ladder.
Man, and that seems like something we could use in a lot more than just, say, a fire scenario. Just information gathering in general, that could be really useful.
Absolutely. Situational awareness, the word is a picture paints 1,000 words.
Right.
And so if you can get live video feed from an elevated point of view, there's so much more than you can capture standing on the ground.
Sure.
So it gives us a great ability to see what's going on with the fire. Maybe we have to know whether there's central heat and air units on a roof or not. Without having to take the time to send people up on a ladder, we can elevate the tower and look with the camera and not have to jeopardize the safety of our crew doing that function.
So that image is sent where?
That image right now is sent to a DVR and a monitor. The monitor is located where the engineer stands to operate the fire truck, but we also have it password protected so that any of us who have the access over the internet, whether we're at home, whether we're on the emergency scene, whether we're working out of the office, we can pull up that camera and watch it and see what it sees from anywhere in the internet.
Right. What's the difference in our intercom system as opposed to the ones that we have in the past?
This particular intercom system is a digital intercom system, so we're hoping that the reliability is going to be much better than the previous technology that we have. Yeah. But when a firefighter is up on the end of the ladder, again 75 feet up in the air, communications is vital.
Sure.
And you don't want to tie up the radio traffic by having that communications. You want to leave the radio traffic open for those who are inside fighting the fire. Right. So this digital intercom allows you to talk to him on the end of the ladder. You have to push a button when you want to talk, but his is hands-free operation. So he can hear and he can talk without having to interact with the intercom itself.
How about that? Now, I was lucky enough to drive our newest ladder truck, Ladder 4, recently, and as I was backing, as a rule, we have to have a backer, someone who stands behind the apparatus as we back into a space. And I was using a wireless headset, and the firefighter backing me in also had a wireless headset on, but she was outside of the truck. So our old intercom systems are hardwired, but these new ones are actually wireless.
That's right. The old system, when an engineer exited the truck to run the controls to operate his fire pump, he had to plug into the side of the pump panel. That made him not be able to go any farther than about 5 feet from that area. But there's many things that the engineer has to do around the fire truck, and the wireless capabilities allows him to go several hundred feet away from the vehicle and still communicate with the radio and those others who might be wearing the headsets. So it's quite an improvement over what we've had in the past.
It really is. And this is just more wireless technology is what I'm noticing here.
Absolutely.
Wireless, accessible via Wi-Fi or internet. This is all a lot to take in on just one short trip for sure.
Well, technology is changing every day, and when we can incorporate it into the fire service, it makes our job easier and it makes our job safer. And if we can do things safer and quicker, then the public obviously benefits from that.
Sure. Now, one of the issues that we have, and you've obviously been on this side too, as long as you've been doing this, finding addresses. Some are very well lit and obvious, and they sometimes have reflective backing. Others may not even exist at all. But these lights up here on the front, tell me a little bit more about how this light is going to help us find the address on the first try.
Well, these are, this particular lighting package, the red lights are a PowerArc brand lighting package, but this particular light here is an FRC brand light. And as you just did, the engineer or the passenger can aim the light in any direction that he needs, and it puts out a large volume of lumens of light that allow us to see. We basically turn night into daylight, and we can easily spot those addresses much better.
It really does. I've used these personally, not this specific one, but these lights at night when we're trying to find an address and we find it and the scene is, the emergency is over and we're leaving the scene. We turn those off and I feel like we've gone inside a dark room. It really is, it really does make a huge difference. So the inspection process takes normally how long?
Well, usually we spend at least a day and a half to inspect a truck. A little bit of it, we go into every detail of the specification. We check every plug, we check every light bulb, we check every measurement. We want to be sure that what we're paying for is exactly what we're getting. And Sutphen has always done a great job of meeting our specifications. There's a few things that we leave to the final inspection. Right. Sometimes when you're building a truck of this magnitude, you can't spec everything to come out a certain way. So the final inspection affords us the opportunity to address those minute details that are left, like where do you want to mount this particular piece of equipment now that you've seen the final product. So that's part of what we do. We allow ourselves enough time to do that. This truck is costing almost $800,000, so we don't want to leave the factory until it's exactly like we expect it to be to serve the purpose that we want it to serve.
Right, because I know we talked about earlier that this camera on the rear nozzle, this monitor nozzle, is relatively new, if not brand new.
It's a brand new concept for us, and as far as I know, it's a brand new concept for the fire service altogether. We had a very difficult time trying to find a manufacturer who even offered such a package, and the research here that Sutphen did on our behalf provided this solution, for which we're extremely excited about. But even though our mounting is in place now, we may find when we actually put it to use that there may be a better location suited for it, and Sutphen's here to help us and stand by that to make sure it gets put exactly where we need it to serve our function.
Gotcha. Well, look, you've got a long list of items there. It looks like you need to check off. Thanks for taking time to show us around this truck.
Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, no problem.
The Ohio trip went really well. I learned a ton, and I hope you have too. Thanks again to Sutphen for opening their doors and being so hospitable to us. We'll see you next time on Franklin Heat.
Wiley, we got all day.